idea 2 days before the hearing. It is a contrived defense. This objection is so utterly frivolous legally as to call into question the good faith with which it is offered. Now, yield time back.
Gentleman yields back. Question gentleman from Pennsylvania.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is, I would strike the last word, always recommend. Thank you. This markup is so shameful. It's graven, actually. I'm appalled that here we are again with a desperate Republican Party. Does nobody on the other side of that aisle regret what you are doing today? Does nobody see the shame-filled behavior? If you want to learn about President Biden's love of his family and his loss, read the book. Don't go after a ghostwriter. With that, I yield the gentlewoman from Georgia my time.
Thank you so much to the gentlewoman from Pennsylvania. And talking in response to what was just mentioned, the bill that you actually voted for and favored for has a definition that would qualify Zalwitzer as a journalist in his capacity writing Biden's book. That was H.R. 4250, the Press Act. And the term covered journalist means a person who regularly gathers, prepares, collects photographs, records, writes, edits, reports, investigates, or publishes news or information that concerns local, national, or international events or other matters of public interest for dissemination to the public. Now yield back to the young woman.
Gentleman yields back. The question occurs on the amendment offered by the gentlelady from Georgia. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. No. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it. The roll call being requested. The clerk call the roll.
Mr. Jordan?
No.
Mr. Jordan votes no. Mr. Issa? Mr. Issa votes no. Mr. Gates? Mr. Biggs? Mr. Biggs votes no. Mr. McClintock? Mr. McClintock votes no. Mr. Tiffany? Mr. Tiffany votes no. Mr. Massey? Mr. Roy? Mr. Bishop? Mr. Bishop votes no. Ms. Sparks? Ms. Sparks votes no. Mr. Fitzgerald? Mr. Fitzgerald votes no. Mr. Benz? Mr. Benz votes no. Mr. Klein? Mr. Klein votes no. Mr. Armstrong? Mr. Gooden? Mr. Landrieu? Mr. Nels? Mr. Moore? Mr. Kiley? Ms. Hageman? Mr. Moran? Ms. Lee? Ms. Lee votes no. Mr. Hunt? Mr. Fry? Mr. Fry votes no. Mr. Rulli? Mr. Rulli votes no. Mr. Nadler? Ms. Lofgren? Ms. Lofgren votes aye. Ms. Jackson Lee? Mr. Cohen? Mr. Cohen votes aye. Mr. Johnson? Mr. Schiff? Mr. Schiff? Mr. Schiff votes aye. Mr. Slala? Mr. Liu? Ms. Jayapal? Mr. Correa? Mr. Correa votes aye. Ms. Scanlon? Ms. Scanlon votes aye. Mr. Neguse? Ms. McBath? Ms. McBath votes aye. Ms. Dean? Ms. Dean votes aye. Ms. Escobar? Ms. Escobar votes aye. Ms. Ross? Ms. Ross votes aye. Ms. Bush? Mr. Ivy? Ms. Fallon?
Clerk report.
Mr. Chairman, there are 9 ayes and 13 noes.
Amendment is not adopted. Question.
She does it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, the clerk, I'm sorry. We've had this happen a couple times. Question occurred. On the Dean Fenneman. I'm sorry. Gentleman, Pennsylvania Director.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment of the desk.
Clerk report.
Amendment to the amendment
I reserve the point of order.
Point of order reserved by California.
to the committee report.
Without objection, the amendment be considered as read. The gentlelady from Pennsylvania is recognized to explain her amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I do have to say I am once again saddened and appalled that this body and my Republican colleagues want to somehow capitalize on the worst personal tragedy that anybody in this place could imagine, the loss of a child. It is simply craven what you are pursuing today. Why are you doing this? It would seem you're doing this because of the two men who are involved. You don't like President Biden because he poses a political threat to your favorite felon. So they attack Biden. It's cynical, but hardly new. Now you are going after Mr. Wanitzer, simply because you are desperate. You have the weight of the government, the control of this committee. Mr. Wanitzer is a private citizen, a writer, a journalist, trusted to convey the most private memories of a father losing a son. In Promise Me Dad, President Biden describes the moment he knew Beau Biden would not recover, the moment Beau's breathing slowed, the moment his heart stopped beating. Finally, in his own words, he writes that his son was gone, quote, May 30, 7:51 p.m. It happened. My God, my boy, my beautiful boy. I can only imagine that Promise Me Dad has brought solace to so many of us who know grief and loss. Mr. Zwanitzer illustrates these sensitive memories with respect and dignity, a far cry from the tone and tenor of this hearing. By demanding these files, Republicans are intruding on the most private personal recollections imaginable, and they are trying to bully Mr. Zwanitzer into helping them. What does this terrible precedent mean for future writers? Who will want to work on a sensitive subject matter and tell meaningful stories if they have no control over the conversations they have? Even more cynical, why, Chairman Jordan, are you prying into these private conversations at all? Mr. Zwanitzer already produced all the information he is seeking to Special Counsel Hur, a Republican and a former Trump administration appointee. I ask every member of this committee to stop now and really consider, why are you doing this? Is the other side incapable of decency? So, I offer an amendment. My amendment clarifies that the only possible legitimate purpose of this committee, and therefore this contempt resolution, is legislative decision-making. That's what we're here about. The purpose must not be to bolster Republican candidates' chances of victory in the 2024 election cycle, nor to seek embarrassing information about President Biden. Finally, my amendment would require that any audio files must not be released to the public, 2 points, not be released to the public, nor used in any campaign materials by members of Congress seeking re-election. Therefore, I urge my colleagues, based on what must clearly be their intent, nothing political, what they're intending here, only legislative. I urge my colleagues to support my amendment, or else admit this is purely political. And I yield back.
Fuck it, this was purely political.
Gentlelady yields back.
They ain't getting no fucking
Gentleman
minute.
draws his point.
Even though it was just the opening statement being reread, I will withdraw my objection.
So the gentleman withdraws. The gentleman from Arizona is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, you want to know who is craven, shameful, despicable? It is you.
Thank
you. Democrats. Because here's the deal.
Thank
It is not.
Thank you.
It is not. We're not asserting anything with regard to Mr. Biden's book or how it came out or anything regarding to his son. What we're talking about is the information that he decided to reveal, which was classified and rated secret, that still remains classified and secret. You have made it about President Biden's son's tragic death and their relationship. We've not inquired into that. We're inquiring into the classified documents and information that he retained over a 50-year career in the Senate.
The fuck he's talking about?
And then that he disclosed, in turn disclosed to someone that he knew
Thank
and not have classification
Thank you.
status.
That's what we want.
It is you who attempted to turn this
You kick some
into
fucking.
something that
Yo,
is
it's
not.
not.
That is crazy.
That is fucking retarded.
If you-
That bitch need to be fucking fired.
If it is, would you please not interrupt me?
No,
If it is, please don't interrupt me. If it is,
lack of decorum.
yes, you're right, you have lack of decorum. If this is about what you claim it is about, then why did President Biden take $8 million for it? Wouldn't that be crazy? The reality is, we are not asking about that. We didn't bring it up.
You did.
You did.
Thank you.
You did.
You brought that shit up.
We are asking for information that Mr. Zwoniger uniquely has,
Nah.
and it's related to his receiving sensitive classified information from a former vice president, former senator, who had no authority.
None. He was not a president. He ain't have no rights to classify information. None.
This person who is not
None.
but is a ghostwriter. in
None.
existence.
He have no authorization.
Yeah,
None.
to the gentleman from Arizona's point, what we're seeing is a bit of a form of the heckler's veto, where you shout people down in order to suppress discussion, and in this case, to suppress important information that the American people should have before them. And I understand why the other side may want to do that, because they don't want to see this go public.
Right.
Because
Don't want-
who
yep.
knows what information may come out.
Yeah.
But we will not be stymied
Nope.
by the heckler's
Nope.
veto.
Mhm.
We
Yep.
will
Yep.
the information that we are
Going after. Yep.
legally allowed
Yep.
to have.
Have. And we gonna get
we
it.
will attempt to
And we
have
gonna get it.
Biden
And we gonna get it. And we gonna get it.
with the
We gonna get it. Or we gonna put him in jail for contempt.
I think, Mr. Biggs, in fact, I appreciate the point just made by Mr. Tiffany, that this seizing upon the deeply personal, private, agonizing personal experience.
No. It's in a book, man.
of Biden
It's in a book.
is thought as a form of a heckler's veto, but it's actually more despicable and craven than that.
Yeah.
Because what you don't even think about, if this is not present to your mind about why we're pursuing the information in the first place, you fail to recognize President Biden already decided to expose that to the public.
To the public already. The book, asshole.
It is
This is some stupid shit.
as they just said.
This is a waste of fucking tax money.
If we go to say, we want to know what all the detail is concerning President Biden's reading verbatim from classified information about Afghanistan to the ghostwriter. The Democrats, with a unanimous repetition from the ranking member on through to everyone's comments, says, "Well, how could you? This is despicable and craven." It is so cynical.
Yes.
The exploitation of that,
Yes.
when the information that you're specifically referring to,
It's out there.
President Biden decided voluntarily to write a book about in exchange for $8 million. Wow. You guys, as Andy Griffin used to say, you guys
All of them to be fired.
yield that. I yield to the remainder to the chairman.
The gentleman yields back, the gentleman lady from Texas, and everyone comes to this right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to yield my time to my colleague, Ms. Dean. And I thank you.
Indeed, you make yourself look stupider and stupider and stupider and stupider.
That we've struck a nerve over on the
You are just straight up stupid. You are stupid.
What you have done here.
Why do she still have a job?
Just to have some fun.
This ain't fun.
Here's my question.
This ain't fun.
And again,
This ain't fun.
Well, you're in favor of it because the amendment simply says this. Therefore, if these audio files are obtained by the committee, no portion of the audio files shall be released to the public or used in any campaign materials by members of Congress seeking re-election. Are you all in agreement?
No.
It seems like you must be. I yield back.
Thank you, Ms. Dean. And I'd like to thank you for your amendment. I am in full support of your amendment. I think it would demonstrate by our colleagues on the other side of the aisle.
Man,
if
y'all
they
need
were
to shut the
support your
fuck
amendment,
up
it would demonstrate
on the real. Y'all making yourself look real fucking stupid.
That it is serious.
On the
fact
real.
finding. If they oppose your amendment, then it would clearly be an
Well, get
admission
what? We gonna
that this
oppose
is
it.
purely
It's political. It's purely political. Then
To me, very straightforward. Would you like more time?
And I thank you. I thank the gentlelady for that support of my amendment. And I'll remind everybody, anybody who's still paying attention to this, that all of the information Mr. Hart has. So why they're going after this private citizen, I'm sure it's not with anybody watching on C-SPAN. Craven.
Thank you, Ms. Dean. Mr. Chair, I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. Gentleman from California.
Thank you, Andrew. Strike the last word in the record. I'm going to ask a few questions and answer them myself because it may be the most efficient way to get the thought out. You know, Mr. Issa, isn't it true that knowingly receiving classified information that you're not cleared for is a crime? Yeah, I think so. Judge to the form of the books. Somebody has to represent you in this scenario. Isn't it true that that in fact giving out classified
Come on
information
now.
received
Come on now.
in format?
That's against the fucking law.
Well, yes, it is. Isn't it true that the Vice President of the United States is not entitled to declassify information?
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Is it also true that a senator is not allowed to take and keep and declassify information?
Yes, it is.
Isn't that true?
Yes, it is.
I could keep going with the yes, it is, as though I was a cooperating witness, which I am. But trying to bring a little humor to this moment, folks, there's been a serious allegation.
It's the way to fucking tax money, man.
Committed for which
We want what we want. Release the fucking tapes.
And we still have the responsibility to look at whether crimes were committed. By the way, this ghostwriter probably did commit a crime by knowingly sharing classified information,
No.
and hasn't been. Now, if the Department of Justice is going to overlook crimes, and only they can, in fact, bring charges, it has never stopped this from committee from looking to see whether there are crimes and representing them to the Department of Justice for reasons that they should enforce. But also, quite candidly, we have some other real reasons to do it. But the most important one, quite frankly, I made out trying to have a little humor, maybe a little too much humor, but we are looking at some serious things that went on. I do think that the question of President Trump and the classified documents that are alleged that he had, whether he had declassified them or not, is a legitimate question. But I equally consider the questions and answers I just made as worthwhile and important. And I would urge my colleagues to move away from the idea that this has only a political purpose, when in fact, no matter who is in the majority, no matter who's in the White House, we have a reason to support knowing whether or not classified information has been inappropriately shared. And with that, I yield to the chairman. Then I would, I'm sorry, I yield to the chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Issa. I mean, this is one of the things that's been driving me crazy since the special counsel was before the committee. And it's this idea that the American people have no right to hear the tapes. And now, in the discussion we're having here today, I find myself kind of bewildered that this, the ghostwriter is somehow characterized as a spade in the woods who is sitting there taking notes based on what President Biden was telling him. If you look back at the record, February 14, 2024, approximately 6 days after the release of the special counsel's report, the committee sent a letter to Zwoneker requesting 6 categories of documents and records. On the letter's return date, February 23, 2024, Zwoneker's attorney contacted the committee and requested the committee staff contact him to discuss the committee's request. He lawyered up. This guy lawyered up. And I think the reason he lawyered up is what Mr. Issa just referred to as this idea that there could be classified information floating right now. And a ghostwriter has his hands on it right now. And then on February 26, 2024, during which Lonicker's attorney represented that, he says, I can't be there because of personal interest. Wow. No sense of urgency, really not replying to the committee, not really concerned about meeting any of the deadlines. And he was supposed to produce this stuff by March 8th. And then guess what happens? He doesn't do it. So, I mean, the idea that the committee was not doing the due diligence to try and work with this person, and then ultimately when he lawyered up, work with the attorney, is just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. And now we sit here having this larger discussion about the tapes themselves. The American people should be able to hear about it. When the U.S. House of Representatives has had as much discussion as we have had about this topic, the idea that these are being withheld, not the members of Congress, it's about whether or not the American people should be able to hear these tapes. And it's not necessarily going to be used for political purposes. I think a lot of us feel that, quite honestly, it's just something that should be disclosed. And I wish that would happen.
Yeah, gentlemen, you're back here now. I'm just sad he may have lawyered up because he tried to destroy evidence. That might be why he lawyered up. Gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Well, this is disturbing and cynical.
Oh, here's the secret.
I mean, I sit on the ethics committee, and we can't name any names, but there are members who have matters before the ethics committee, and they're represented by them. And
Gentlemen,
I'll say this too. We just,
that's fine. I'm not. I think everyone, if they want lawyers to get a lawyer, I'm just saying why he might have done so.
Well, but
raise that point.
Just to reclaim my time, the gentleman who spoke just before you, and you, by what you said by implication or suggesting, that the fact that he would retain counsel suggests that he's guilty of doing so. And just a few minutes ago, when I raised the point about members of Congress, some of whom sit on this committee, who declined to comply, let me at least finish the statement, comply with the January 6th subpoenas that were received, many of them retained counsel. And by the way, the D.C. Circuit Court of Appeals says that there should be no negative implication drawn from somebody retaining counsel. And if you think about it, if you're just a regular citizen and you get a subpoena from the United States Congress, you might think you're in over your head. You know why? Because you probably are. And this is the guy who, as they say in The Godfather, this is the profession that we've chosen. We've chosen to be in the public life. But this guy's a ghostwriter. He's, by profession, he's
but Joe Biden fucked him up by getting classified information.
And suggests the fact that he got an attorney to help him walk it through it means he must be guilty of something. And then just before I yield to the chair, I gotta say this too. It's not like he didn't respond at all to the subpoena. His attorney wrote a letter to the committee.
Well, a letter. I can't write a fucking letter.
That the committee really hasn't dealt with, and it said, well, we only heard from the White House about it 2 days ago. But the executive privilege issues were raised in his April 12, 2024 letter, which I moved to make part of the record by unanimous consent.
Objection.
And he also raised the reporter's privilege, which has been barely addressed, really not at all, by the committee in its rush to move forward with this. The committee says we waived it, but, as the White House letter pointed out, and the Mazars case was, cited in support of that, he hasn't necessarily waived it. And we really haven't tried to resolve it here. The committee's just trying to blow past it. Our Republican colleagues really don't want to hash it out. They just want to move on and get it done before whatever happens at 9 o'clock happens tonight. So, I want to ask us to be careful about how we move forward with this and the precedent we set. And then with just a little bit of time I got left, the case in Florida against President Trump, there are provisions in here, it's paragraphs 33 and 34 of the indictment. On July 21, 2021, when he was no longer president, Trump gave an interview in his office at the Bedminster Club to a writer and publisher in connection with a then forthcoming book.
Man, y'all should have said something about that then. Y'all just bringing that shit up now. Too late for all that. We want to deal with Biden right now. We'll deal with Trump later.
I found this was senior military official plan of attack. Read it and just show it. It's interesting. Later in the interview, it goes through the colloquy between Mr. Trump and the staffers on these things. But, you know, based on what the committee's doing today, I suppose, we should be seeking a subpoena against whoever this ghostwriter was for Mr. Trump. And if he doesn't comply, I guess the way the committee would go is you seek to hold him in contempt. I don't know that that's the path we need to go down, especially when there's live litigation going on with the matter. All I'm saying is, can't we just kind of pause and think through about what we're trying to do here and why we're trying to do it? And Ms. Dean's amendment, which nobody's really spoken much to, I mean, why wouldn't we have language in there that says we're not going to use whatever we get for political purposes?
Man, shut the fuck up.
I mean,
You don't want the truth used. You don't want the truth used, man.
If you're seeking criminal contempt, can only be for non-political reasons. Why wouldn't you want to say that?
Someone new?
I will you.
Mr. President, when committees on the Hill sought the tax returns of President Trump, his business records from Mazars, did they include, make sure?
Go ahead. That's good.
I think that's enough of a question.
I don't know what process.
I think we need to know.
Well, I don't know what process the committee went through for that. I don't know if there was an effort at subpoena accommodation and then contempt. I don't know. But I know what's happening here today with a third party, private citizen. None of this is required because the Department of Justice.
He got classified information, but he did not have classification.
I would just point out, I think you're making a point.
Yeah.
If what you said really did,
No.
and you allege it, I don't know that it happened. But President Trump gave information to a book writer, just like President Biden did. You're making a point. President Trump's getting charged. President Biden isn't, for goodness sake. That to me is a huge. I don't know that happened. It's been alleged this happened. We know he's getting charged. We know this happened. Special Counsel Hur told us it happened. Joe Biden said that he gave classified information. Sure.
Mr. Swanson is not a defendant in this. He's not. By the way, you guys have alleged basically that you think he committed criminal acts.
Yeah, he did.
I'm saying what
He did, but he did though. He got classified information and didn't have classification to have classified information. Shit.
It's in his report. It's in his report. He tried to destroy the evidence. They were able to recover it.
That's
They
right.
chose not to.
That's right. And if you think there's a Fifth Amendment claim there, is it really appropriate for the committee to be seeking to hold them in contempt for not complying with the subpoena?
Yeah.
I don't think so, but I'll yield back.
I yield back. This is recognition of the gentlelady. I'll yield to you then. We got 3 minutes, 41 seconds.
I just want to, before we get to a vote on this, correct the record of what the folks on the other side of the aisle said, that they were only interested in reading of classified documents. But really, let's take a look at literally the listing that this committee demanded. According to Advance, our oversight, please produce the following documents and information. All documents and communication shared between you and President Biden or his staff and representatives relating to your ghostwriting, all contracts or agreements relating to your ghostwriting, all documents evidencing
all
relating to your ghostwriting,
all
the body
all
of not just what might connect to
all
classification.
all we want all of it.
Interviews or conversations between you and President Biden, all transcripts,
All.
any interviews or conversations between you and President Biden,
All.
documents and
Yes.
communications between
All.
you and President Biden.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes,
All.
except members of your committee, your side of the committee, tried to mislead the public and this markup into believing it was, we just want to take a look at what was classified.
We've been clear. That's the lady sticking my work be taken down.
We've been cleared. 6 categories of information, documents and information we sought. That's what we sought. The gentlelady stated that. God bless her for stating what we all know we asked for. I yield back. Who seeks recognition? The question occurs on the amendment from the gentlelady from Pennsylvania. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. No. Opinion of the chair, the noes have it.